Yo, guys, girls, we are back yet with another Warhammer 40k video. So, the last two videos were about the Emperor, and I've decided I wanted to react one more video about the Emperor himself, top 10 facts of his, to make like this sort of trilogy, I guess. And we will stop after this reacting to the Emperor. We're gonna dive deeper into other factions. As always, guys, original video is pinned in the description. You can click it to support the original creator. And without further ado, let's begin.
G'day guys and gal. To say that the Emperor is an interesting fella is the understatement of the century.
He is like, to me, he's like 50-50.
This glorious golden ablord is probably the most engaging character in all of fiction, with every bit of lore or screen time with him being absolute gold. Whenever GW decides to drip feed us some new Emperor lore, I literally cream, and I know I'm not the only one. However, between the hundreds and hundreds of Warhammer novels, a lot of his juicy fun facts can be hard to find. If you were to know all of them, the Emperor actually becomes a lot more relatable and even humanized. A man that seems to most as
I do not see it's possible to humanize Emperor. Well, maybe MajorKill is gonna prove me wrong.
this enigma actually becomes a bit of a dude once you get to know him. But who has time to read 300 plus full-length novels?
I do not. I genuinely have no time.
I'm still working at it, and this is my bloody job. So I thought, why not tell you some of the most interesting niche fun facts about the Emperor that you probably didn't know. Before we get started, I was off sick last week, which is why I only managed to get out one video instead of my normal 3 or 4. So to get us back on track and towards our goal of 600k subs, I humbly request that if you watch my stuff and find it even mildly entertaining...
Bro, but it's so crazy, the man literally can pump out like 3-4 videos a week. And he has like time, I guess. Meanwhile, I can barely react to 2 videos a week. That's damn. I'm surely not putting as much effort as he does.
Or you can just spare me some of your pity for my fragile soul, then consider subscribing. It's free, easy, and full of dope 40k lore. I also have something pretty special planned for 600k, so the sooner we get there, the sooner we can all enjoy that. Today we'll go over 10 fun facts about the Emperor of Mankind that you probably didn't know. Pretty self-explanatory. Let's get into it. First out of the 10 facts, did you know that the Emperor actually trained with the Eldar in the art?
I actually... Wait, in fact, I thought his was like raised... The shamans like sacrificed themselves, and that's how they became... So he trained with the Elder. That's crazy.
War, combat, and whatnot. We already know that he has engaged with the Eldar numerous times, but during the last Horus Heresy book, we get some rock-hard evidence of this. When the Emperor and Horus were fighting, Horus remarked that the Emperor's swordsmanship was astounding, as the Biggie assumed a fighting stance that could only have been taught to him by an Eldar autarch. The Emperor then proceeded to dodge in, slash, and weave like an Eldar champion, Horus struggling to parry against the grace and speed of his father. For those that don't know, an Eldar autarch are the leaders of the Cryfield Eldar armies. They get this position by following numerous Eldar paths. For example, an autarch could have mastered the path of a striking scorpion, a dire avenger, and the swooping hawk, meaning that they have the speed of the hawk, the melee skills
Is this one in the picture? This is sort of... Is this like fire dragons?
of the scorpion and the accuracy of the avenger, amongst other non-directly competitive paths. They make great war leaders as they aren't just obsessed with one path like many Eldar end up being, so for the Emperor to have been tutored by an autarch really speaks to the Emperor's history with the Eldar. This ties me into the next point, or fun fact, about the Big E. He actually wasn't that xenophobic, at least not compared to the
This one I kind of think I always like knew in back of my hand. It's just like the Galaxy now. Like I think if the Horus Heresy wouldn't happen, I think like Emperor, maybe I'm wrong, I don't want to talk for Big E, but I think he would be fine, for example, with Eldars and maybe even Tau Empire. But he would want them to be part of Imperium. But I think he would be fine with them, not the Necrons, Tyranids, Chaos, Orcs.
rest of the Imperium. Sure, he hated orcs with a passion and exterminated them wherever he could, but he actually had a decent relationship with the Eldar, at least for a while, and was cool with a number of other Xenos. This is evident by the early Imperium having a special section of the Imperial Palace that acted as a protectorate for peaceful Xenos to engage in diplomacy with the Imperium.
Oh,
The Eldar Farseer Eldrad Ulthuan also mentioned that he and the Emperor used to be friendly and had talked. After all, how else would the Emperor know so much about the fall of the Eldar, how to fight like an Eldar hero, and know so much about the Webway? Yes, there's a good chance that the Emperor was only using the Eldar to gain more knowledge and to eventually take over the chunk of the Webway. However, when the Emperor's forces entered the Webway, the Eldar did not fight them. They merely retreated and sealed off their sections. The Emperor and Eldrad both worked together to get Vulcan through the Webway and into Terra as well, with Eldrad remarking that mankind and the Eldar needed each other, as either they both died or they both survived. As far as I can tell, there isn't a single scene of the Emperor fighting the Eldar or advocating for their extinction. Sure, if they got in his way, he would crush them, but as he saw it, they were a weak, scattered force of Xenos that were opposed to Chaos, a pretty convenient ally. This also then
yeah.
ties into my next fun fact. The Emperor was the only human that was ever considered an equal of the Cabal, and they even thought about inviting him to
This like the Cabal. What the hell is a
join their
Cabal?
order. The Cabal was a secret society made up of some of the most powerful Xenos in the galaxy from various different races, most of which were created by the Old Ones. When the Old Ones vanished, the Cabal attempted to take up their mantle in guiding the galaxy on the best path and overcoming chaos. The Cabal included an Eldar Autarch, a Slann, amongst many others. The Cabal foresaw that no matter who won the heresy, the galaxy would lose. Either Horus would barely win and destroy everything, or the Emperor would barely win and the galaxy would slowly die over the next 10,000 years or so. Either way, it was bad. However, if Horus was to have an overwhelming victory, his guilt at what he had done would eat away at him, causing a new massive Chaos Civil War to break out that would result in humanity's extinction and the extinction of the Chaos Gods, but it would spare the various Xeno races and allow them to rise up and reclaim the
So technically, Chaos winning would be better for every Xeno race.
Chaos-free galaxy. To this end, they try to win the heresy for Horus by using the Alpha Legion. That is the gist of the Cabal and their purpose. The point I'm trying to make is that they saw themselves as the secret guardians of the galaxy and were super arrogant, seeing humans as these inferior, foolish creatures. So it speaks a lot of volume to the Emperor that they saw him as an equal and would have invited him to join their order, if their goals weren't at odds. They even use other human perpetuals as basic agents, showing that even the best of humanity was beneath them. Now pivoting away from the Xeno fun facts, we have a less fun fact now. The Emperor, as a child, killed his own uncle. The Emperor is
Huh?
old as fuck and was born somewhere around Turkey during the Stone but sort of Bronze era. His uncle had killed his father for unknown reasons, stabbing him in the skull with a bronze knife. The Emperor held his father's skull and psychically knew what had happened, so he confronted his uncle. All his uncle could do was say the Emperor's name before the Emperor gave his uncle a heart attack, watching as he died painfully in front of him. The Emperor wasn't full of rage or having an anime moment, he actually watched quite passively as his father's brother died, but he also wasn't going to let this slide. He just needed to do what must be done for the crime that was committed. As an extra fun
This is just like a weird fact, but okay.
fact here, in the Emperor's village, the sons of dead fathers were expected to clean the bones of their dead dads and then use shells, stones, and clay to remake their father's face around the skull as best as they could, which also may explain the Emperor's fondness for skulls in the modern Imperium. Speaking of the Elder's childhood, nobody knows the Emperor's original true name. This is deliberate, as knowing someone's true name gives you a fair bit of power over them if you know how to use it. However, the closest thing we have to the Emperor's name, the name that some of his oldest companions used for him, was Neoth. He has had many other names and titles since then, but this is the one that his only true friends knew him by, including Erdar, who was the mother of the Primarchs. As for what it means, I don't fucking know. Do I look like a historian to you? Some basic googling says a saint patron of fishermen, a Celtic Jew, or you could just say that it's the long form for Neo, as in the chosen one from the Matrix. For the next fact, although the Biggie comes across as a cold bastard, he is actually very emotional and gets highly attached to people who are long-lived. His original goal was to unite all the perpetuals on Earth to act as his warlords and advisors. Alanis Person was actually his war master, but one by one they became disillusioned with him and abandoned him, with Alanis even stabbing the Emperor to prevent him from researching and exploring the chaos-corrupted Tower of Babylon. Eventually only Malkador remained by his side, the Emperor's closest friend. The Emperor didn't even try track down and take vengeance against the perpetuals who betrayed him, such was his love of them. The scene where Malkador has to take the Emperor's place on the Golden Throne is crushing to read. The Emperor really struggles with the decision and is actually surprised how much he cares. He's devastated.
Didn't like Malkador die when Emperor boarded the vengeful spirit? the, Malkador was the guy who sat on the throne, and basically that was death sentence. There was genuinely no other way, no other person could have like filled that spot for that
He won't be
moment.
able to speak to.
And he sat on the throne so the portal wouldn't open. And the portal is because of Magnus.
Or hang out with his closest friend anymore. The Emperor had built contingency after contingency to keep Malkador from ever having to get on the throne, and they all failed. From then on, he only refers to Malkador as the hero, with his grief being so powerful that everyone around him can constantly feel it. In other examples, the Emperor talks at length about how he loves his custodians, and would happily expend 1,000,000 mortal lives if it saved one of his golden boys.
That's... I don't know. It's probably cool to be a custodian, but not a regular human. Imagine you're like a regular citizen and you hear that shit that Emperor would gladly murder 1,000,000 of you to save one of them. That's kind of not
The
cool.
war in the Webway was devastating for the Emperor, as he had to watch almost all of his beloved warriors die. So no, the Emperor isn't this stone cold bastard. He even gave up the power of the Dark King because of his emotional attachment to Alanis, and it was Alanis' death that gave the Emperor the will and resolve to kill Horus. On to the next one. The Emperor's true goals can be quite hard to discern, as he has plans on top of plans on top of contingencies. He had
Yeah, from my understanding, he just wanted the whole, I guess, galaxy to be under like his rule, I guess. Maybe I'm so like
so many
wrong.
plans that they often ended up contradicting each other and fucking himself over. However, the Emperor's true end goal was actually quite wholesome. Many believe that post Great Crusade he would exterminate the legions and the Primarchs and then go into hiding, but the reality is much more simple. In a hidden part of the Imperial Palace was a massive stunning garden. In this garden was 20 Primarch-sized custom-made suites, implying that post Great Crusade, the Emperor wished to retire into a beautiful city-sized garden and hang out with his sons all day. So fuck the
That is probably something, the most wholesome thing I heard from the Emperor ever. Kinda, part of me wishes to see, or maybe to even know how it would look like.
Emperor haters that is beautiful. The Emperor would often chill in his garden with his custodies, talking about philosophy and the nature of mankind as a way to relax and take a break from his duties. On to the next fact. The Emperor has the most powerful, clear foresight out of any human or perhaps any being in the galaxy, which confuses a lot of people since things ended up going so poorly. However, just because he can see infinite paths doesn't mean he can keep them all in his mind simultaneously and constantly change and adjust paths when unexpected variables come in.
Oh, so yeah, I always thought it's weird how he can see future, but he basically chose the everything wrong. That makes sense. He can see the future, but he can't like he can see all of the futures, but he can't control which one is gonna like happen.
To play.
Okay.
He was still a man after all, a brilliant man, but just a man, not an omnipresent god. He would basically seek out the best paths and then commit to them in hopes of leading mankind through the storm and into the golden age,
Honestly, I would do the same.
which basically involved creating the human webway. That seemed to be the only path that led to the golden age. When the webway project failed because Magnus is a twat, the Emperor genuinely had no clue what to do and decided to just wing it from then on, which is why he gets a lot more emotional and random after that. He begins going with his gut and heart as opposed to his foresight and mind. As a sort of secondary fun fact to that, the Emperor is very, very powerful, but when he was mortal, it wasn't like he was god tier or mega powerful. His insane achievements were more so due to him being crafty, patient, and having great plans. For example, he created the Mechanicum that would one day allow him to go on his Great Crusade by beating up a shard of the Void Dragon and locking him under Mars.
Yeah,
The
how did he
dragon's
do that?
dreams then boosted the intelligence of future Martians dramatically. Another example of this theme is the Emperor going to Molech and tricking the Chaos Gods in order to steal the power from the warp that he would use to make the Primarchs. He had to pull a fast one on them to achieve that. The Emperor also couldn't kill Drachnion, the demon of murder, so he had to turn it into a sword and let Raya and Endymion be its jailer. However, nothing sums up the Emperor being a crafty bastard more than his duel with Horus. Horus's raw power was greater than that of the Emperor's. However, the Emperor used trick after trick, prank after prank to Houdini the shit out of Horus and gaslight him into basically committing suicide. The only time the Emperor has actually gotten close to achieving true unlimited power was when he nearly ascended to become the Dark King, but that probably would have destroyed the galaxy, so it's a good thing he didn't, eh? And for the final fun fact of the day, he once king hit Lehman Russ so hard that the Wolf King was knocked into a coma, all because Lehman beat him in a drinking and eating contest and then insulted the shit out of his father. The Emperor,
You gotta say that's
the
funny.
emotional guy he was, cracked it and gave his son brain damage, which probably goes
Oh, this is
on to
funny.
explain some of Lehman's extremely questionable decisions that were made during the heresy. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then subscribe. We're on the road to 600k, guys and gal. Let's get this bread. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye. As always, thank you for the video, MajorKill. Very informative. I actually did not expect for Emperor of Mankind, basically, be trained by elders. I kind of forgot the fact that he sent Lemon Rust to fucking coma. That's funny. Um, Crazy guy. Also, I don't know. I understand that MajorKill painted like this idea that he was loving and caring because he would rather sacrifice million civilians to save one custodes, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't think that's wholesome Chungus moment at all. Great video. Guys, I've been thinking along. I found like this other channel called Vesthammer, and he like has a lot of like Necron and Orc videos I see popping up, and I really wanna check those out. So guys, if you're interested, you have like 2-3 days to choose. Do I react to Necrons or do I react to Elders or Orcs? On that note, guys, thank you for watching my reaction. See you in the next one. Ciao, cacao.